What's up guys, I got a new video for you. It's about Sega Genesis games that you've probably heard of and never played. This is a great time to be a collector for the Sega Genesis. As most of you know, most of the games can be found for pretty cheap, and there's a ton of great ways to play them. You have the Hyperkin Retron 5, which retails for about $149.99 give or take. Great console. You got the At Games Sega Genesis Flashback system coming out. It's rumored to be priced at about $80 USD, and it'll have a cartridge slot. That's going to be awesome. Also, Gamers Tech has a console. It's $24.99 and comes with two 6-button controllers. Can't beat that. RGT85 did a review of it, and I'll keep a link in the description below. So without further ado, here's the top 10 games that you've probably heard of and never played. Number 10. Greatest Heavyweights. This is a 1993-1994 follow-up to, I believe, Evander Holyfield's boxing. It's an awesome game, pretty good lineup of boxers, but it's not so much about just the random boxing matches that you can do. It's all about the My Career mode, which is, for the time, amazing. You can create this random, crazy character with a really, really in-depth creation tool. You got your head, your body, your hair. I went ahead and did an extreme example to show you guys what it's capable of. And the game's fun. It progresses as you go. Like, you know, the first guy is going to be like your Glass Joe. As you'll see, I actually went a whole round with him. Game's very competent boxing. It's like 2.5D style. It's fun. I believe it uses just the 3-button controller, so you don't have to buy the 6-button for this one, but keep in mind the 6-button is often mandatory. I showed this guy the business. Is he gonna get up? Yo. He's got this. But yeah, this game's fun. It's cheap. It retails complete in box for $12. It's a sports title. I know sports titles get a lot of crap, but this one's pretty good. Also, I like the scorecards, and something that really impresses me for the Sega Genesis era is the instant replay. It shows that knockout when I showed him the business right there, and I love the newspaper headline right there. So there you go, Greatest Heavyweights. Definitely worth picking up, and definitely overlooked. Number 9. Toy Story. This is a game that I'm imagining a lot of people slept on. It's a game based on Toy Story. You know, you start off in Andy's room, and you work your way up through the levels. You know, I think a lot of people, they passed on this and thought it would just be shovelware, but it's actually a pretty fun game. It's interesting, and it's kind of unique. You know, you play as Woody most of the time, if not the RC Racer. Like, look at this Buzz Lightyear fight. It's kind of reminiscent of Sonic 2 and Level 8 when you're facing Dr. Robotnik. It's pretty cool. You know, Buzz makes an interesting enemy. There's also a level that's exclusive to the Genesis version where Woody rides on the RC car in almost like a Super Mario Kart style graphics. Also, this race is pretty difficult. The game's pretty cheap. You can get it complete in box for just $10. Highly recommend it. It's pretty fun, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So here's that exclusive level to the Genesis. Number 8. Beavis and Butthead. This game is so good. It's funny. It reflects the show. Like, you actually feel like you're having an adventure. The goal of the game is to get into a Gwar concert. So your adventure revolves around that. There are a bunch of different places you can go. There's a lot of just different interactive things you can do. I actually left a couple clues in here because the game can get kind of hard and random just because there's a lot of just miscellaneous things you can do that don't make a lot of sense when you're there. But as you kind of progress, you might see some things that you could grab and maybe use in a different area. I remember playing this game over the summer when my cousin let me borrow it, and I got stuck here, actually, of all places, because I didn't know the password to the Burger World door. But, you know, lo and behold, I'm leaving it right here for you. It's Butthead. So, you know, the fry cooker is an interactive environment. In the cartoon, Beavis and Butthead worked at Burger World. They were the worst employees, and kind of reflected that whole, like, I do not care attitude of the 90s. And then this guy's like your typical customer dude. So, you know, that's just a kind of funny place. There's the hospital, where there's that. I mean, it plays like a platformer / almost RPG with what you can do. I mean, it's funny. You interact with people, you talk to them, and it's worth getting. The game, complete in box, is only $17, which is a steal. You'll get quite a few hours out of this. I wouldn't say it's got a crazy amount of replayability, but it's enough. Especially if you don't look up cheats, just trying to figure out what you do. There's a lot of situational things. And most of the main characters show up in the game, which I kind of like. Like Mr. Van Driesen here, the hippie dude. He's always cool. Also, I was a fan of the principal. Oh, maybe if I had some fireworks right there, that'd be kind of funny. So yeah, you get these ticket pieces, and once you complete them all, you can go to the Guar concert. So, you know, I got there. I'll show you what happens right here. They look kind of beat up. Oh, we're not going in. Let's go on the side door. Nope. Direct hit. We're dead, dude. Number 7, Castlevania Bloodlines. This is another really example of Konami being great. Castlevania is one of my personal favorite franchises. This is a pretty cool, different game than your usual ones. You have 2 main characters that you can pick from in the beginning, and you know, Castlevania games, especially the 16s, 8-bit eras, they played pretty linear. You just kind of do what you do, and you die a lot. Graphics were pretty awesome. For the Genesis, you know, this was the only Castlevania we got, and not a whole lot of people picked it up for some reason. I don't get it. I know Super Nintendo had Super Castlevania 4, and to a lot of people that's what everyone's all about. Simon Belmont and whatnot, but, you know, I'm kind of a fan of this. You got some mer people hanging out. The game, it does get brutally hard. It is awesome, and it is expensive. Complete in box, this game goes anywhere between $80 and $100. So keep that in mind. It's worth it. Like, I mean, these boss battles though. It just looks so cool with the 16-bit era. This game, Konami was just on it back in the day. Hopefully they can get back there. But, you know, that classic Castlevania difficulty and frustration, it's all here. Also, something else that I wanted to talk about on this is that there's a cheat password system, and on the Genesis, it's really weird. It'll have a glimpse of it here in a second. It's like so weird. You just pick these things and line up the boxes, and it's like 16 boxes. It's like the most awkward thing. I figured I'd show you. Number 6, Warsong. This is a game that's a situational role-playing game. I actually decided to not go too crazy into my gameplay. I've been going crazy into my other games to try to show them off a little more than you'd usually see, to kind of like give you an idea of what you've been missing, and hopefully influence you to play them. This one, I don't really think it needs that. this is a game where I had to actually restrain myself from playing because it's just so good. Warsong is, you know, we had Shining Force 2, Shining in the Darkness on the good old Sega Genesis, but Warsong was where it was at, in my opinion. The first game of the Langrasser series, which is still going today. There's even a 3DS release that's really cheap. Pick that up, wink wink. You know, this is a rare game. It's about $100 complete in box, if not more than that. So if you see it for cheap, pick it up. In Japan, Warsong 2 was released as Langrasser 2. I've seen it at conventions as a repro. That also goes anywhere between $80 and $100. And, you know, it's translated, so if you like this version of the game, you'll like that one. But it never came to America officially. Unfortunately, there weren't enough sales for it. So we got this. This is one of the best games on the Genesis by far. Some of you probably have heard of this, but maybe didn't know what it was. Definitely check this one out. Number 5, The Amazing Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin. This is one of the best games on the Genesis in terms of Spider-Man. There's quite a few that are bad. This is definitely the best one in reflection of, you know, his normal self that isn't the beat-em-up. You got a nice Harambe fight here that's just kind of random. You have a pretty decent rogue gallery, and this game it influenced Activision's Spider-Man 1 and 2. The police are really after Spider-Man, which is usually what happens. And then you got Aunt May right in the beginning getting robbed by this guy. He's kind of a prick because Aunt May's like the sweetest old lady you'd ever see. Unless you see Homecoming, then that just doesn't make sense anymore. So you go around in this game, you beat up criminals, he plays like Spider-Man would play, and also you got that Peter Parker stuff. You take pictures for the Daily Bugle, and something cool is you have a finite amount of web. I love the mechanics. So you actually take pictures to get money, and that money goes into your web supply. So I kind of set that up. Those are the pictures he took. Pretty cool. Got your Doc Ock here. So it's a fun game. Also, the dying screen is hilarious. Like when you die, you don't actually die. You go to jail. And then you have to hit a cop and escape. So, you know, Spider-Man's dropping the NWA stuff there. Got the lizard hanging out in the sewers, which I think this is kind of cool. The environments are kind of interesting. It's a cool game. It's worth checking out. It's $15 complete in box. It's got a really good story. Also, there's a timer on the bottom right corner. You can rejuvenate health, and that takes away from your time. It's a funny game. It's all about Spider-Man, and it nailed Peter Parker. Number 4, Mutant League Hockey. Usually, when you talk about EA Sports games on the 16-bit era, you talk about like NHL 94. You talk about some of those early Maddens. But this is a game that kind of got overlooked. There was a Mutant League football that was fairly popular. The hockey was where, in my opinion, it was at. The boxing almost used the same mechanics of the number 10 game that I talked about, heavyweight boxing, and it's just fun. I love that they actually use like the boxing physics. It's got a scorecard on it. The game, it's more of an arcade. This was the NHL hits of its era. Mutant League Hockey is unfortunately pretty expensive to find a complete in-box cart. It's about $80, but I mean, the character models are cool, the maps are cool, there's like map hazards, there's just random bombs and explosions. You can bribe the referee, you can do instant replays. It's a fun game. Waste the ref, jailbreak, bribe referee. You have these like nasty plays. Here's another fight. Yeah. The fighting doesn't seem too crazy, but it is. Oh. That explosion though, and then you can fall in. It's a fun game. Definitely check that one out. I know a lot of people slept on it. They didn't know it existed. Really good. Fun game. Definitely definitely better with 2 actual people. The computer's fun. There's a pretty good like season mode. The gameplay is a lot like NHL 94 with just really weird and crazy environments. Like, check out those guys. Like that gargoyle dude. I was boxing him and he gave me the business. Here I go sucking again. Number 3, Haunting, starring Poltergeist. This is a very dark game by Electronic Arts. This is when they were, in my opinion, kind of around their best. This is some of their better work. It's a dark game, and it is fun. It just seems like someone over there was watching Beetlejuice, and they wanted to make a really cool game based on it. So you're basically this ghost guy named Poltergeist, and you go around, you try to get this family to move out of this mansion they picked up for cheap. They're definitely not good people, and they have this coming to them. So the environment's completely interactive, and your goal is just to scare these people. So you interact with these environments, and there are all these crazy hazards all over the place. Like, look at that, there's a bloody arm, and this dude's like getting chased by it. He just ran out of the room. How awesome is that? So, you know, there's this woman, nice little kitchen fire. Bam! Ghost! Get out of here! Get out of here, woman! Get out of here. Make me some toast. Just kidding. Anyway. So, something weird about this game is that you have to recharge this little green meter at the bottom, and you go into this really awkward, like, hell stage to replenish it. That part's not that fun. You basically have to do, like, a really sucky lame part to get to the fun stuff. Kinda lame, but whatever. Also, this is a game that's on the pricier side. Complete in box, it goes for about $45 to $50. Some people, they probably didn't pick this up because, you know, until recently I didn't really know of it, and I was a pretty big Sega guy. This is that awkward level where you have to... Number 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist. Here's a pretty awesome beat-em-up game. This is another example of Konami just making one of the best, by far one of the best beat-em-up games ever. They used a really good license, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You can play as any of the 4 turtles, and then, you know, once you have 4 lives, you die, you get a game over. Interesting story. You got April O'Neil live reporting, and some crazy stuff goes down. It's just good presentation right off the bat. I think it's awesome. I use awesome a lot because these games are awesome. But, you know, started off with Michelangelo on this gameplay because he's my dude. Guy plays pretty cool. You're just dropping the nunchuck stuff, just like, you know, if Bruce Lee was all about that nunchuck life. The environments are kind of destructive, and there's like random hazards to watch out for, like this. It's like, oh, get this pizza upgrade. Psych! Dudes jumping out of cars. It's fun. So, you know, and each level has like an exclusive boss to it, which is kind of neat. I like Rocksteady. This dude's kind of weird. The turtles all play very similar. There are slight differences. I think, oh yeah, this is that weird level. It's cool, but kind of weird. Raphael was the most fun to play because he plays more like Wolverine with his size, but he dies quick, so he's more of a you need some skill to play him kind of dude. Leonardo's kind of lame, not gonna lie. He's just like, I'm the leader. Hashtag no personality. Hashtag Michelangelo's a party dude. That bomb though. Anyway, it's a fun game. I've heard that it is a very, very close cousin of the Turtles in Time game that might have been on SNES. I think this might be better. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure there's a really big debate about that. Unfortunately, this game goes for about $100 complete in box. Really fun game, highly worth checking out. I mean, the boss battles are fun. You can beat it in one sitting. It's not a crazy long game, but it could be one of the best beat 'em ups, or definitely the best one on the Genesis. Check it out. And finally, number 1, Batman Returns. Here we go, Ice Princess. Here's Batman at his best on the Genesis. Batman Returns, you may have heard of it on the Super Nintendo. It was actually, on the Super Nintendo, it is a game made by Konami, and it is also a beat 'em up, much like our number 2, and it is pretty well known and well received. This one, surprisingly, not a lot of people know about it, and you know, I think it got reviewed halfway decently, but it's not super rare. It's only a $15 complete in box game, but to me, it captures the feel of Gotham in that like Tim Burton universe. It plays like the NES Sun games, except for like that grappling hook's a little bit more important. You really feel like Batman, and I think this, for a 16-bit era time, really showed it off, at least for the Genesis. I like that dark approach. You know, one of my own complaints about it. Also, when you hit start, that's his utility belt. He's got all like these Batman tools that you can use on boss battles and whatever, and that's cool. You know, I think a lot of people didn't like this game that had it because it was just so hard. Like Catwoman, this is the first level, and Catwoman's literally just whooping me. Like, she shouldn't be this tough. Like, this is, you just started. You're like trying to figure out, you know, who am I? Am I Batman? What am I doing here? And she's just out there wrecking you. Then, once you get past her, you go into this really crazy level with, like, you have to do these swings with the grappling hook, and there's these clown dudes. You know, most people didn't get past this level, and they hated the game for that reason. It's not that hard. Give it a chance. It takes a little bit of patience in figuring it out. You can get stuck in a situation where you're over spikes, and if you fall, you die. So I understand why people get pissed. That's why there's unlimited continues. So it's a fun game. It really captures that whole like Batman essence from Tim Burton's era. Worth checking out. Only $15 with all these really good options for like cheap systems. It's the resurgence of the 16-bit era. We got the 16-bit console wars, and I mean it's not quite Arkham City, but if you were a fan of Batman or Batman Returns, it's perfect. Thanks for checking this out.